We've got to talk about this massive marijuana news because the Justice Department just announced that it is recommending easing restrictions on marijuana. Though to be clear, we're not talking about federal legalization of weed or even decriminalization of weed at the federal level. Instead, it would change the classification of marijuana as a Schedule 1 drug to Schedule 3. Right, so it would leave its current category, its teammates, heroin, ecstasy, and LSD, and it would join anabolic steroids and ketamine. And while this is kind of shocking news, it also shouldn't be too surprising. Right, marijuana is easier to get than ever before in America. In fact, a majority of all Americans now live in states where they can purchase it legally. Right, 24 states have approved recreational cannabis, 38 have approved medical programs. And, at the federal level, we've seen the Biden administration issuing pardons and commutations for nonviolent drug offenses. Federal prosecutors have also been increasingly deprioritizing marijuana cases. Though big thing, even with the reclassification, marijuana will still be a federally controlled drug that's subject to prosecution. So if you get caught with it and you are punished for it, don't go blaming me. I'm being specific in how I'm painting this picture. But that said, there are some pretty substantial real-world impacts that could come from all this. We may see a lightening of sentencing guidelines. It may also pave the way to create legal protections for medical marijuana users who run up against federal laws on public housing or employment. Also, a big one is that this will loosen restrictions on research, facilitating scientific studies on the harms and benefits of marijuana that have long been hampered by its strict classification. And beyond that, it opens the door for doctors to eventually prescribe marijuana to patients even without FDA approval for marijuana products. But really, in general, this move will have the biggest overall impact on the marijuana business in legal states. Right? And that's because under the US tax code, businesses that sell Schedule 1 drugs, they can't deduct business expenses. Right? So companies that sell or they grow cannabis, they have much higher tax rates. But with a Schedule 3 classification, those businesses would be eligible for tax breaks. And the financial effects this could have on the market would be massive. With reports explaining this tax relief is estimated to free up millions of dollars for companies to put toward things like hiring, expansion, and product development, all of which could be a boon to local economies. And those financial benefits may also be passed down to the consumer because it would allow these businesses to lower the prices of their products. And that's incredibly significant because it comes at a time when the industry has been struggling financially in recent years, which in effect has driven down tax revenues for states. But I need to stress this has a long road ahead of it. The DOJ has just made this recommendation. People familiar with the matter have said that the White House's Office of Management and Budget, they have to still review it. And if the agency accepts that recommendation, the change would then need to be published and go up for public comment, meaning it would technically be subject to change and it wouldn't go into effect for several months. But regardless that it is not happening immediately, this is huge and it's going to be very interesting to see all the impacts and changes.